How's it going, everybody? JP here, and welcome to another MMA related video on my channel. We are doing a review slash recap of the previous events from over the weekend. First up, we had Bellator 108, and then we had UFC 167. My overall record, well, my record for the weekend was not so great. It started off good, but quickly went downhill. We have it is 6-4, brings my overall record to 27-13. 6-4, I believe, is the worst that I've done so far. But anyway, Bellator 108, quickly get through this one. I went 3-0 on the event. We had the first fight that I picked, Patricio Pitbull versus Justin Wilcox. I actually didn't get a chance to watch the fight, but from what I understand, Pitbull pretty much overwhelmed Wilcox and knocked him out. Pretty much what I was thinking, somewhere around there. And then we go into the second fight, which was the heavyweight champion fight, and we had the heavyweight champion in Alexandra Minikov versus Alexander Volkov versus Vitaly Minikov. I'm sorry, I get these Russian guys confused. But anyway, Vitaly ends up knocking out Alexander and winning the belt. I guess Czech Congo's next for him. And then after that, we had Rampage versus Joey Beltran, and I picked Rampage in this one. I thought that Beltran had a chance to clinch with Rampage, hold him up against the fence, and win out a decision. But I went with Rampage, and honestly, Rampage impressed me for, he just looked more explosive and better than he has in the last few years. I mean, he's not facing a high caliber opponent like Glover Teixeira or John Jones, but he still looked better. Still not sold that he can really beat the elite of the elite anymore, but he might be able to shake some things up in Bellator. So yeah, that's Bellator 108, and let's move into the UFC event where I didn't do so well. The first fight I picked was middleweights Talis Litis and Ed Herman, and this one I really don't know what the hell I was thinking. I just don't know. I guess I wasn't buying that Litis could come back in the UFC. He had his victory over Tom Watson. I just wasn't. I just really didn't think that he was going to have a resurgence like that. And I guess I was completely wrong. Ed Herman hasn't done much since not even winning the Ultimate Fighter, coming in second place actually. So I don't know. I seem to pick him all the time though, and he never really wins it for me. Then we move on to the main event of the preliminary card. We have Donald Cerrone versus Evan Dunham. Yeah, with Cerrone got his triangle choke. He looked good. He looked like he had the fire back in him a bit, and I love Cerrone. He's a great fighter. He's so fun to watch, and I'd like to see him succeed. Him going, I do not see how he can make 145. He looks super, you know, big as a 55er. Like he doesn't look like he has a lot to lose in the weight department. Um, Also, I wanted to say that I cannot believe I didn't pick the Sergio Pettis fight in the prelims, because I've been watching Sergio Pettis for a while now. Anthony Pettis' little brother. I totally missed that he was on there. I would have picked him, but I didn't. So could have helped my record a little bit, but next time I'll glance at the card a little bit better, I guess. Then we move on to the flyweights. Ali Bagtanov versus Tim Elliott, and I honestly didn't know the Russian fighter too much, or what I don't know if he's Russian, what he is. I didn't really know Ali too much. I went off of Tim Elliott's last performance. Probably should have did my research a little bit more. But he defeats Tim Elliott via unanimous decision, and it was a good fight. I got that one wrong. Then we move on to welterweights, Tyrone Woodley versus Josh Koscheck. You know what? I pretty much saw this fight going exactly the way that it did, except for I saw Koscheck getting knocked out within the first, barrage of punches, which he actually recovered, and I did not see Josh Koscheck, being able to actually do any damage to Tyrone Woodley. So he actually kind of, even in a loss, he kind of impressed me in the way that I thought that he didn't really have much left in his, career. But I think that, even being knocked out, he showed that he can still hang, I guess. and that was a mean, ready to go Tyron Woodley. So Koscheck can probably fight a few lower tier guys and still win. Next up, we move to Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald, and honestly, I kind of thought that Rory won this fight, and then upon thinking about it afterwards, I gave it to Robbie. But Robbie won by split decision. I mean, Robbie deserved to win it. And if it was, it's so weird when you talk about scoring fights, because to me, if I was scoring it personally, I would have gave it to Robbie. But watching it and trying to think like, what are the judges thinking? I would have gave it to Rory. But I do think that Robbie won the fight. It's just the way that the judges score shit, I think differently, and it's just like a weird thing. So yeah, Robbie Lawler looked great. He's doing well in his return to the UFC. That's awesome. I love to see those type of stories unfold. Moving on to light heavyweights, Rashad Evans versus Chael Sonnen, and this one went exactly how I was thinking it was going to. Chael went for the takedown, couldn't really get it. Rashad ended up getting him down, a John Jones-esque style elbow. Chael was in trouble, just pretty much like the John Jones fight. I think that Chael is just too small to be in the light heavyweight division. I think he needs to drop back down to middleweight, and it's just it really is just it's just one of those cases where Rashad was better than him in every area. Plus, he was stronger, and being stronger, I think, had a huge effect in this fight. I like both fighters. It's good to see Rashad, but I think Rashad really needed that to, give him a boost in his future fights. He needs that KO TKO win. He needs to be get that fire back in him and go on another title run. Rashad's still got fight left in him, and I'd love to see him go on another title run. And that brings us to the main event: George St. Pierre versus Johnny Hendricks. I picked Hendricks in this one, and this. I honestly thought that Hendricks won. And it was another one of those cases where I was thinking, like, I would have gave it to Hendricks hands down. But in my head, I was like, well, what are the judges thinking? And I was thinking that the judges were going to go, kind of almost to GSP, but like a split decision like it went. But I thought that the winner would go to Hendricks. I thought that maybe one of the judges would have saw it for GSP, but I really don't. Like, it's if you score it like an MMA fight, I can see a case for George St. Pierre. But if you just look at it as a fight, there's no way George won that fight. If you look at it as a fight, just at the end of the day, it is a fight. And Johnny did so much more than George did. Johnny out wrestled George, outstruck George, just all around out scored George. I just outbeat George. I don't know. I just like, it was just kind of disappointing because at a certain point after, I believe, the second round, when Hendricks just laid it on George and just was tearing him up, and to see George come back from that and not get knocked out, I started rooting for George because I was like, he's a great champion. I would love to see him get this win, maybe retire. So I was actually rooting for George, even though I picked Johnny Hendricks. But I still thought that George lost, even though I wanted him to win. I thought that he lost. And it kind of sucks because it just kind of tainted the whole him winning thing. Like, I wanted him to win, but since I felt like he didn't win, it just kind of tainted the win, and it just kind of bummed me out a bit. I think that George has a lot on his mind, especially from watching the press conference and him kind of retiring in the cage, and it's just I believe that wasn't the best George St. Pierre we could have seen, and I believe that if a rematch happens, which I think it will, we'll see probably a more competitive fight. in the sense of George is going to bring it more. He's going to, um, I think he's going to be. He had stuff on his mind. He definitely didn't look like the George that I'm used to seeing, but I still think the end result will be the same because I think Hendricks is going to go get better and the same as Joni Hendricks winning the fight. I mean, like even though that didn't happen, that's what's it kind of did happen in my eyes. Even though that it all comes down to the judges anyway. If we don't score fights like this is the way we score them. So yeah, George got the win. He is the winner. But he's not the winner to the fans. I would think. Um, so yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but I don't know. This fight just kind of was a weird one, especially when George like half retired and stuff. I want to know what's on his mind. Like what is it? Because Dana White says it's not too serious. George just thinks it is, and I don't know. I don't know. Um, yeah, but so yeah, I went 6-4 altogether. Not too great. Kind of bummed out. It was a great fight though. That was one thing that was awesome. It was a great fight. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I'm actually very very tired right now, and sorry if I'm not explaining my thoughts in my head super well. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.